the illegal firings of inspectors general with a note, a boilerplate note, no less, from the director of personnel for Donald Trump, for Republicans and Democrats alike, has been to root out corruption, to root out abuse of power at various departments. She's been at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They just look, it's like an accountant. I mean, is your CPA or your accountant political, or are they just looking at the numbers and the facts? Think of it as an ethics or abuse of power audit being run by an independent auditor in the form of an inspector general. That's one way to think about it.
Remember that time in school when the class bully tried to cheat on a test, but the quiet kid in the back caught them red-handed? Well, this story is kind of like that, but way bigger. Phyllis Fong is that quiet kid, except she's a 60-something accountant. And the bully? Oh, just the former president of the United States. No biggie, right? This has always blown my mind a little bit. 91% that watch this show regularly haven't subscribed. Could I ask you for a small favor before we start? If you like this show, what we do here, and want to support us, the free, simple way you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. So you think your job is tough? Meet Phyllis Fong, the government's secret weapon against corruption. This 60-something accountant isn't just crunching numbers. She's been busting bad guys in suits for over 2 decades. But now, she's got a big orange target on her back. Picture this, a no-nonsense lady with glasses perched on her nose, surrounded by stacks of papers and a trusty calculator. That's our Phyllis. She's not your average bean counter, though. Nope, she's the first ever chairperson of the Council of Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. That's like being the boss of all the bosses who catch cheaters. Pretty cool, right? But here's where things get spicy. Our grumpy Trumpy and his gang of goons are trying to kick Phyllis out faster than you can say tax evasion. Why? Because she's got a nose for sniffing out fishy numbers, and Donnie Diapers doesn't like it one bit.
The next stage of fascism has started, with Donald Trump now pulling out of offices and dragging away inspectors general that oppose him or people in his administration. And Congress at the time had the wisdom to install these watchdogs, independent watchdogs, to root out abuse of power and corruption within the various departments and agencies of the government. Everyone has an inspector general, or did until on Friday. For Republicans and Democrats alike, has been to root out corruption, to root out abuse of power at various departments. She's been at the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
You see, Phyllis and her team started poking around Elon Musk's company Neuralink in 2022. And wouldn't you know it, suddenly there are attempts to boot her out of her job. Coincidence? I think not. But wait, it gets even crazier. Trump's got this thing called Project 2025. It's not a space mission or a new golf course. Nope, it's a not-so-secret plan to get rid of pesky watchdogs like Phyllis. They want to eliminate inspectors general altogether. It's like trying to get rid of the referees in a football game so you can cheat your way to victory. Now, here's the kicker. Phyllis isn't going anywhere. She's standing her ground, refusing to acknowledge Trump's illegal firing attempts. It's like David versus Goliath, but David's weapon is a really sharp pencil and a knack for spotting dodgy digits. And get this, Phyllis isn't just some Democrat out to get Trump. She's gotten props from both sides of the political fence. Republicans and Democrats have been giving her awards and pats on the back for years. That's how you know she's the real deal. So next time you think accountants are boring, remember Phyllis. She's out there fighting the good fight, making sure the big shots don't get away with cooking the books. And she's doing it with nothing but a calculator and a whole lot of guts. Alright folks, buckle up, because our orange friend is at it again. Trump's throwing a temper tantrum that would make a toddler blush, and this time, he's got his sights set on more than just Phyllis. Turns out, our grumpy Trumpy is on a firing spree, trying to axe inspectors general faster than he can tweet, "Witch hunt." But here's the thing, you can't just fire these watchdogs because they hurt your feelings. There are rules, Donnie. It's not like The Apprentice where you can point your stubby finger and yell, "You're fired," at anyone who looks at you funny. Nope. In the real world, there are these pesky things called laws.
And now we have Phyllis Fong, a 22-year inspector general. All her job has been the illegal firings of inspectors general with a note, a boilerplate note, no less, from the director of personnel for Donald Trump. She got sideways with Elon Musk because she and her office opened up an investigation in 2022 against Neuralink, one of his companies, and delivering an audit or a message. Same thing for inspector generals.
Speaking of laws, did you know Congress actually did something useful in 2022? I know, I'm as shocked as you are. They passed a law to protect inspectors general from exactly this kind of nonsense. It's like they knew Trump would try to pull a fast one. Maybe they have a crystal ball, or maybe they just know how predictable our orange turd is. So what's got Trump's toupee in such a twist? Well, it's not just Phyllis poking around in his business. Remember Elon Musk? Yeah, the guy who thinks he's Tony Stark but acts more like a toddler with a Twitter account.
She's a profile in Courage. The resistance continues and is televised, and at least on YouTube. And I'm going to continue to follow it right here on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. They're independent. They're apolitical. The reason these inspectors general were created was in 1976, after Watergate, after the Nixonian crime spree. Think of it as an ethics or abuse of power audit being run by an independent auditor in the form of an inspector general. That's one way to think about it.
Well, Phyllis opened an investigation into his company Neuralink. Suddenly, Trump's trying to give her the boot. Coincidence? I think not. But here's where it gets really juicy. Trump sent out a mass email saying, "You're fired," to a bunch of IGs. It's like he thinks he's still on reality TV. But here's the problem. That's not how it works in the real world, Donnie. You can't just fire people because they're doing their job and it makes you look bad. Now, legal experts are saying Trump's actions aren't just petty, they're illegal, and Phyllis isn't the only one fighting back. Picture this, a bunch of serious-looking lawyers and watchdogs gearing up for the legal battle of the century. It's like Avengers, but with more paperwork and less spandex. But wait, there's more. Remember that Project 2025 we talked about earlier? Well, it turns out this whole Inspector General drama might just be a smokescreen for something even bigger.
And now they've attempted to literally drag her from her office because she's refused to recognize. I'm Michael Popak. Let's talk about the firings and what Phyllis Fong's resistance means. They just look, it's like an accountant. I mean, is your CPA or your accountant political, or are they just looking at the numbers and the facts?
What if I told you this goes way deeper than one grumpy golfer with a bad spray tan? Now that's a puzzle that'd give even Phyllis a run for her money. So here's the deal, folks. This whole mess with Phyllis and Trump isn't just about some boring government stuff. It's about keeping the big shots honest and making sure they don't get away with funny business. Think about it. Do we really want a country where the people who catch cheaters get kicked out? That's like getting rid of the referee in a football game because he keeps calling fouls on your team. Phyllis might not wear a cape, but she's a real-life superhero, fighting to keep our government clean. And let's face it, that's way cooler than any Marvel movie. So next time you hear about government oversight, don't yawn. Cheer. It might just be what's keeping our democracy from turning into a bad reality TV show. Oh, and speaking of TV shows, stick around for our next video where we'll dish on how Jimmy Kimmel roasted Trump so hard, the orange turd nearly burst into flames.